Hi, I'm here with another Mobility Monday. Today we're talking about your iliopsoas. So your iliopsoas is made up of three muscles. You have your iliacus, your psoas major, and your psoas minor. So they have two origins. One is in your spine on both sides, and has another origin on your pelvis. They come together and they form into your femur. So the main job of the iliopsoas is to do hip flexion, and it's just kind of nicknamed just your hip flexor. So it's very common to get hip flexor tightness. So what happens with prolonged sitting is that in the sitting position, your hip flexor or your iliopsoas is in a shortened position. And if you're sitting too long, if your job requires sitting, or if you just happen to be someone who sits a lot, it's shortened all the time. So when you try to stand up or move around, it gets really tight. So we need to work on increasing the mobility. So secondary function of your iliopsoas is with running or walking or even getting out of a chair is a stability muscle for your pelvis and your lower spine. So your iliopsoas health is very important for day-to-day and for high-level functioning. So if it does get shortened or tight on you, it gets irritated. And when it gets irritated, it usually represents with anterior hip pain. So an easy way to test it at home is if you're laying down on your back and you bring your knee up towards you. In a normal hip, you should just feel a stretch in your glute. But if you feel pinching in the front of your hip, that's a quick, easy test that you may have an issue with your iliopsoas, or just commonly referred to as your hip flexor. So we'll go over some quick stretches you can do just to elongate your hip flexor to help prevent it from getting irritated and getting hip flexor tendinitis. So an easy first stretch you can do is just holding onto a table, whatever leg you're trying to stretch, you put it behind you, and then you lean forward. And that's how you can stretch out and get a nice easy stretch for your hip flexor here. Because it also attaches to your spine, it has a responsibility of doing side bending. So if you get into the stretch and you lean over to the side, you'll get a little bit more of a stretch. So not only does hip flexion, also does side bending. So just leaning over to the side as you lean forward will stretch out that hip flexor as well. Another stretch, if you have a table, just be a little careful of a bed or something you can fall off of, is just hanging off the side. I wore the word wrong pants, but hanging off the side and just let that hip hang down. That will stretch out your hip flexor as well. I recommend keeping this knee bent up because if this leg is straight, you put a lot of stress on your lower back. So keep this leg bent up, protect your back, and just drop the hip down. Just kind of hang with it and just let it stretch out. Another stretch to get more of a stronger stretch is you take a stretch strap, you put it around your foot, then I can pull on it, and I'm going to get a lot more of a stretch this way. And then if you don't have a table or something to do it, another way of stretching hip flexor is getting down. I'm using air racks to protect my knees. Just do this one, I guess. And then all you got to do is keep your body straight up, lean forward, and then side bend, and then you get another stretch here. So those are some stretches that you can do to keep your hip flexor nice and loose. I hope this was helpful, and see you again next week.